to a tropical area, South or Central America. Did you hear about mosquitoes? Did they say anything about mosquitoes?
It wasn't in South or Central America, but yeah, they did talk about mosquitoes.
What did they say?
Watch out.
Watch out. You don't want to get bitten by a mosquito because you can get malaria, right? So what prevention did you take? Do you remember what you did?
Well, we went to different places that weren't as like forested, and also you wear like different types of bug spray and all that kind of stuff. But really, it was kind of just we still got bit quite a bit.
Yeah. So one of the things is you can't there's not much you can do. There are medications that you can take that will help prevent you from getting malaria or that will treat it if you get it, and bug spray. But the thing is, when we talk about malaria, we talk about mosquitoes. Mosquitoes give you malaria. This is how they do it. The mosquitoes aren't dangerous at all. They're just bug bites, like they itch and they're irritating. But if you get bitten by a mosquito that's carrying some of this Plasmodium organism, then you could indirectly get really sick. It's not the bite that causes the illness. It's this organism that's in the mosquito's like saliva, basically. And that's pretty neat. So let's look at one other adaptation. And this is like, I don't expect you all to be able to read this and understand it. But one of the things that goes on, and so there's one of the things that happens is that these organisms, once they get into humans, they get released into the bloodstream. They also get released into liver. They're like, they kind of like multiply throughout your body. But when they're in the bloodstream, they attach themselves to red blood cells, and they like actually go inside the red blood cells. Why do you think they do that? You all have some idea of what red blood cells do, right? They carry oxygen. Why, if you're a microbe, might it be advantageous to be inside of a red blood cell? Any ideas? Where does that get us? Quincy?
I mean, I'm not good with medical stuff, but maybe if you're wrenching don't get attached to the cell, then maybe you can get to certain areas and spread.
Right. So think about this for a second. If you get an infection in a skin cell, your skin cell just stays there. The infection might get bad. It's not going to spread. If you get bitten and you get some sort of infection in a red blood cell, that red blood cell is potentially going to visit every single part of your body. So another really crazy and unique adaptation is it can enter red blood cells and spread throughout the body. That's insane. And think about for just a second, what about before? What about before there was malaria? What about before this parasite had these adaptations? Being able to be transmitted to humans from mosquitoes, being able to enter red blood cells and spread out throughout the human body. That's kind of crazy. Really kind of crazy. And somehow these two adaptations came to be, and the story of how that could happen is really fascinating. I don't know it at all, but I could come up with some ideas. I could sort of imagine some things, and I bet some of you could as well. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing down the road, is thinking about how some of these adaptations might have evolved. Okay, and then the last question on our Tree of Life worksheet is, what organism did you think this would be closely related to? But it turns out it wasn't. So this is such a neat thing to think about. So here's this tiny little thing, single-celled organism. makes people sick, maybe it's related to bacteria, right? It's related to bacteria. So I know a kind of bacteria called E. coli. How do you spell it? E in E. coli.
I think it's just E stuff.
Oh, here, wait, I found it. Escherichia coli. I don't know even how you pronounce it, but I know it's a bacteria. So let's see how closely related our one little one-celled infectious microbe is to another little one-celled infectious microbe. Ready? Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. This is not nearly as closely related as I thought it was. These two organisms are not only really far apart from each other in terms of their relatedness, they are in completely different domains. Mr. Fiskin told you the other day about the three big categories of life. There is bacteria, which is like pretty simple, and then there's archaea, which is still pretty simple, but a little bit more evolved. And then there's the eukaryotes. It turns out malaria is a eukaryote. E. coli is a bacteria. This is as far apart as any two organisms can get. These two single-celled infectious organisms are basically like completely distant. They are as distant from each other as we are from a bacteria. We have the same common ancestor. We, in this room, are more closely related to the Plasmodium parasite than the Plasmodium parasite is to bacteria. That is some pretty nifty stuff. Hi. So, okay, so here's what I'm gonna ask you to do is two things. The first is I want you to turn in everything you've got for the Tree of Life. And if that's the only thing you have is what we did today, that's good enough. That is totally acceptable. Turn it in. You'll be good. If you have more than this, I want you to turn that in as well. And then, so you have like a couple minutes to do that, and then let's take a break, 5 minutes. And so at 8:50, what I want is for everybody to be back here with their Tree of Life stuff turned in, ready to move on to stage 2 of the work that we're going to do today.